And welcome to a new episode of the Rebel Radio Podcast. This is Mark.
This is Matt.
And recording remotely over the interwebs.
Yes.
We're social distancing of the finest kind.
We're like a few miles away.
Yeah, first time we've ever done this in the history of the Rebel Radio Podcast. We've had a guest on through Skype, and we haven't had a lot of luck with it. We're actually not using Skype; we're using Zencaster to record and do our part to stay social distance. In this strange time we're going through. That being said, though, we want to keep bringing you guys the best show we can, so we keep podcasting, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Keep the quality there, and it's like we are using Zencaster to bring you that today.
It feels awkward. It feels like I'm talking to the ghost in the machine, though. It's kind of strange.
Yeah.
It's like
you're like, there's no one
really
here.
Matt?
If someone, who knows? I could be like, could have downloaded myself into the computer, to preserve myself in lieu of mass corona outbreak.
That's right. We'll have to figure out how to do the webcam thing, though, so we can Facebook Live this and so I can see who I'm talking to. It doesn't feel so awkward. I know there's a way you can send a webcam without using Skype. We'll have to figure that out.
Probably.
So, because I just want to stare into your eyes, Matt. I'm kidding, of course. Or am I?
Of course. Yes.
It's 10 o'clock at night, okay? Things get weird. So how have you been? How have you been dealing with the world changes?
It's different, man. Seeing every day, you try and look to the positives, because there's so much negative out there, right? Among everything, so much criticism too. So I just kind of look for the feel good stories, and these restaurants that are providing food for nurses and and stuff of that nature. I try and look for that stuff. It's so easy to get caught up in the bad. Just my advice is just to look for the good, look for the positive.
That's a good way to put it. I mean, we working in essential businesses, we're seeing some of it every day. And it seems like that people are doing their part for the most part. But then, there's also people not doing their part, unfortunately. Have you noticed, driving around, it feels like people can drive however the hell they want to right now? It's like, the rules are still in place, people.
I am not. I mean, I drive a little faster. I may go 5 to 10 over the speed limit. 10 being the maximum. Usually I'm 5. If the speed limit's 45, I may be going 50. And I've been having at least once or twice a day, if I'm out, someone just flies by me like I'm driving in a school zone, and they're going 60 or something. Just crazy.
Right.
I think people think we're living in a lawless society right now sometimes.
Yeah, so they think they can do what they want, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But COVID-19 continues to change things. It changed the way we're doing things. Right now, it's changing the way we're podcasting. And normally we record at my house, and we hang out, we do the show, and now we're doing it remotely just to do our part. And I feel that both of us are safe so far, but we just want to take care where we can and show that we're doing the right thing. And hopefully by next week we'll be able to figure out the webcam thing and come back with you guys Facebook Live for future shows until this all passes. And even maybe after it all passes, we still might continue the Facebook Live or Twitch stream thing, so you all can check us out podcasting.
Yeah. Who knows? This could open another avenue depending on what we're trying to do and what we want to do and what we're covering. So maybe it was meant to be for us to try this out if it comes back again in another form.
Right. I am starting to get to the point where I find myself ordering more things on Amazon and maybe spending a little more money than I should, because you want that sense of normalcy. You can't just go to, Academy or Half Price Books or places you like to go and buy what you want. So I think people tend to reach out and they buy things off Amazon just to have that sense of normalcy and have entertainment. But it is getting to the point where I'm getting tired of, the convenience of the freedom of being able to go to the movies and things like that. And it's going to get harder as it goes along. But, because people are optimistic that by late May we'll be back to some kind of normal, but I have a feeling we're going to be in this for a while.
Yeah, there was a pandemic professor or that I guess has dealt with pandemics before at A&M, and he says that there are 5 stages and that we're in stage 2. So I don't know when, what those stage 4 and 5 look like. If there's if 3 is a break and then 4 it comes back, it's Empire Strikes Back, and then 5 is Return of the Jedi, where we strike it down and bring balance to the Force. So I don't know.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's not over with yet. I think
No.
maybe we can see the light in some form or fashion, but it's definitely not over. That's for sure.
Yeah, but hopefully everybody just continues to stay safe out there and does their part, and hopefully they enjoy listening to some podcasts as we continue to do it. And of course, we are the Rebel Radio Podcast at therebelradiopodcast.com, and we do have a Patreon for just $2 a month. You can get exclusive episodes. This month we are going to be doing Highlander 2 as part of our sequels that made us month. It's going to continue over to the Patreon, and we are going to do some other fun stuff. I said this on last week's episode, and I didn't drop it yet, but it will likely drop before this episode does, and that is our good friend Arnold has come back. He used to review comics on our YouTube page. He's reviewing movies for us now, and that will be exclusive to Patreons, and that will be on there before you guys hear this episode. And I have something I'm working on in the works too for the Patreon members as well. So we thank those guys for spending their money and donating to the show, because it helps us keep the show. It helps us keep the show going. And also look for some new T-shirts soon to be on the sale on the website, and some new designs and some new stuff. So things are happening at the Rebel Radio Podcast. And in a year that things are a little different, that we won't be broadcasting at Compalooza this year. We hope to soon be back at Misfit Toys, as once this all blows over at least. But for now, we're going to do it like this and record the best we can for you guys.
I think Misfit Toys is going to be kind of busy with these stimulus checks rolling in. And think someone may go over there and indulge, hopefully.
And Daniel and the guys are still doing business. That you call them and see if they have it. They will sell it to you. You can pick it up curbside for them. I'd say they put a bunch of vintage Star Wars figures up there today. I was tempted to email them and ask them about some of them, but I haven't yet. So, he is still doing business. But so you can still get your comics and your toys, and you can still get movies. Movie theaters are putting movies out on demand early. Birds of Prey just hit early. I think I'm going to try to rent it this weekend and watch it. So Sonic the Hedgehog is already available. So the movies are trying to do their part in the fact that we can't go to movie theaters right now, but it is what it is. So there are ways to get the entertainment that you still love. Digital comics are always an option. If you read comics, things like that. I think we can find ways to entertain ourselves enough,
Oh, man. Let me tell you, our power went out yesterday during the wind that just blew over, and it caused a transformer to blow. And the kids started getting creative, and they took a flashlight and they started getting their stuffed animals, and they wanted to make a puppet show, and with a little spotlight and have the images go onto the ceiling. And I was like, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought to do that.
No, that's because we're not kids. We probably would have thought to do it when we were kids, but not now.
Probably. It's definitely a kid thing.
Yeah, that's cool, though. Yeah, my kids are... they need to get back to structure as soon as possible, but I know that it is what it is right now, and they'll make it. So let's get into today's show officially. We always start the show with Download This, where we tell you what we've watched, streamed, and you would think with all the free time we had, we'd be watching a lot more than we have, but I ain't gonna lie, I kind of slacked off this week, but I did play some games and stuff. I'll let you start, Matt. What did you watch or check out this week?
So Resident Evil 3 became available. And, there was some deals going on, I guess, because everyone's quarantined. So I went ahead and bought it. And, man, it looks really good. I'm only on the first act because, I have to share with the kids, and I can't really play whenever the kids are up.
It's an HD remaster?
Yes. Oh, man, it looks so good. It is. And Nemesis is so terrifying. You feel like you're in a horror movie. I mean, I didn't think that I could be scared even more than whenever I was a kid, in 1999 whenever I played RE3. Because it's like as soon as you turn the corner, and of course Resident Evil has that special angle that really helps capture the horror that you're experiencing and going through in the game. And, Nemesis just blasts through the walls, stars, and then he's coming after you. He's got that big old fist with the little tail that comes in and goes into you, and it's crazy. So played a little bit of that, and I mean just a little bit, like maybe 30 minutes of it tops. And then I downloaded Diablo 3, because, I mean, how can I call myself a Diablo fan if I've played 1 and 2 and I haven't even played 3 yet? So $20, I got all the expansion packs and the game with a couple bonuses, and been playing that a lot. I'm in Act 2 already, towards the end of Act 2. And it's a cool story, man. I mean, Blizzard and the Diablo series, I think it's, definitely one of their more successful franchises. I think some people prefer Warcraft or Starcraft a little bit more, but, Diablo was always my favorite Blizzard game. And I've always had a soft spot. Me and my cousin we stayed up 2 days straight to beat Diablo, the first Diablo. Yeah. Whenever we were kids, and we'd order CC's Pizza, stay up all night, and it really stuck with me. So, that's really what I did this week. Didn't really watch anything else other than the movie in question. Whenever we tried, I fell asleep, so I'm just knocked out. But just those 2 games, not a whole lot for this quarantine time.
And that's kind of how it was too. I think last couple of weeks I tried to watch some stuff, and I finished Picard and all that. But this week I was kind of the same way. I'm a big baseball fan, and I miss baseball, so I went ahead and bought MLB The Show 20, which I broke kind of my cardinal rule. I usually never spend full price on a game, but I wanted to play fresh baseball. Like, I had MLB The Show 18, but it's a couple years old now, so I went ahead and got the updated version, and I've been playing that a lot, and it's really good. I had some fear that it might just be a slight upgrade because everyone knows the PS5 is coming out, and so the games are going to come out for that. But no, MLB The Show 20 is it's not that different from 18, but there's enough improvements in it that I think it was worth the buy from 2 years ago, because I didn't play 19, so I can't speak for that. So maybe people had 19, it's not worth the upgrade. But from 18 to 19, there was enough changes in it to make it worth it for me, and I'm enjoying it. I started my season already, and if this was the real Astros, they would be 5-1 already, just like I am. And but baseball is talking some radical changes about coming back and playing at their spring training facilities and having games there with no fans. We'll see how that all plays out. That'll be interesting to see if they can protect the players and their families throughout this virus pandemic or not. But at the same time, part of me thinks, like, if there is no season, it's for the better. Let's protect these guys. But hey, I can play MLB The Show on my PlayStation 4, and I'm happy with that. And I barely cracked the surface of it. For years, I just never played Borderlands because, everyone swore by it, and I tried to play it. I couldn't really get into it, but they had the original Borderlands for $10 on the PlayStation Network, the remaster version. So I downloaded that, and I've kind of just scratched the surface of it. I'm like, you know what? I'll give this game that everybody raves about a try and see if I like it. And so far, I had not hating on it. I think maybe last time when it came out, I just wasn't in the right frame of mind to truly enjoy the game. So I'm going to give that one a try and play some of that. And that's about it. I think I've really watched, I've kind of let the kids watch the TV a lot this week, let them kind of watch what they want, and I've just been kind of relaxing and doing stuff around the house and just, keep them busy while we're quarantined when we're not at work.
I think I'm right there with you, man. Giving the kids the reins to the TV, and I've just been doing other stuff like you.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that. Like I said, this weekend I'm going to try to rent Birds of Prey and watch it because I wanted to see that, and maybe have some movie time this weekend. Put the kids in bed because it's rated R, so I know they can't watch it. Yeah. And
oh yeah,
they're trying to convince me to
awesome.
They're trying to convince me to spend $20 on Sonic digitally, and I'm like, yeah, we just saw that in theaters a couple months ago. I'm not quite ready to spend $20 on it for a digital copy. It's like, yeah, it was good, but I don't know if it's $20 good.
It'd be different if you hadn't seen it. And then, Vudu has that option to where if you have your address on file and it's verified, that you, for like $2 more, you can have the DVD shipped to you. Yeah, that's always an option.
Yeah. Like I said, it's kind of different because if I hadn't seen it, but since we just saw it, I just feel like it's a little too soon to spend $20 on it, But
yeah, I thought the same thing when I saw it. I agree with you.
Says the guy who bought Onward when it's going to be on Disney Plus in a week.
The kids wanted to see it. I thought about that too.
I'm still not going to let you live that one down.
Could have waited 2 weeks and could have kept the $20. Got pizza or something.
But you did it. Mm-hmm. And now you have a copy of Onward. It's a good movie, though. But you can still watch it on Disney Plus.
Yes, yeah, you can still watch it on Disney Plus.
I didn't feel it was one of Pixar's better films, but it was still good.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's kind of middle of the road. It's kind of middle of the road for Pixar overall. But it had a good enough story that it kept your attention.
Yeah, I think what surprised me about it is I didn't think it was going to be that good. I thought it was going to suck. Right. And I think going in with that mentality and that level of expectation, just, I was blown away because my standards were so low for that movie. Because I felt like I didn't see enough advertisement for it. I mean, the McDonald's toys and stuff. And maybe I missed what was on TV, in favor of it, whatever was advertisement of it. But I felt like it, wasn't nearly as strong as, say, Toy Story or even whenever Finding Dory came out. So I agree. I think that, maybe not Pixar's best, but it's a better Pixar film for sure. Yeah.
It's a good movie, though. I mean, you can never go wrong with Disney and Pixar. Oh, I did what's funny? I did watch this weekend. I had never really, hard to believe, but I had never really watched all of Ralph Breaks the Internet. I kept catching in parts. So I did finally sit down this past week and watch that with the kids. So I did watch that, and I'm like, I actually really liked it. I had seen parts of it, but I never really sat down and watched the whole thing. And I know people said it wasn't as good as the first. It's not, but I still really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good, really well done. But Wreck-It Ralph was one of my favorite Disney movies the last few years, so I did enjoy the sequel quite a bit.
Man, yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good film.
So I did watch that. Yeah, oh yeah. Well, they had already seen it, I guess, the kids. I just never really watched it all the way through. So sometimes I miss things. Yeah, so that's it. Well, let's get into today's featured film then, as we continue on with the sequels that made us month on the Rubber Radio podcast. And these, of course, are sequels to movies that we already covered. And about 2 years ago now, we covered X-Men. We kind of did a sort of double feature that day. We did the X-Men the week that the Avengers Infinity War came out. So for today, we decided let's cover X-Men 2. Arguably one of the better comic book films out there, and definitely a great sequel. So Matt, you want to summarize X-Men 2?
Yeah. So this film, starts out with one of the best action sequences that, we've seen, off the bat in an X-Men film, maybe. And other than Days of Future Past, of course. And, it looks like we're starting out on this big mutant rights kind of thing. Nightcrawler leaves the dagger on the table, and then we see Wolverine coming back. He's doing some soul searching, trying to figure out who he is. Well, because of this attack that Stryker, organized, now that brings opportunity for him to come back to the X mansion, and Wolverine is brought, face to face with his past as Stryker raids the X mansion. Magneto is captured. He's used to capture Xavier, and Wolverine and the kids have to escape where they're then picked up and they circle back around to save Charles, finding out that this is a plot to really just take out all the mutants with Stryker's son. Stryker's son's a mutant, and he has put Xavier right into Cerebro, and he is going to make Cerebro attack the mutants, and the X-Men stop it. That's really the bones of the film. I think my favorite scene in this movie is probably the beginning. Do you think the beginning is the strongest scene in this film?
Yeah.
Or?
Oh, it's definitely a strong starting point. I remember seeing this in theaters and going, like, wow, we're off to a good start. Because, like, I enjoyed the X-Men, the first film, and I said this when we recorded, but as an X-Men fan, I wanted more. And, like, within the first 5 minutes of X-Men 2, I realized right away, like, okay, it's on now. We're getting more. And it doesn't stop from there. But I might pick the Wolverine Goes Berserk scene a little bit over the Nightcrawler scene, because when Wolverine goes off, that's like the first time we really got to see Wolverine do what we wanted to see him do in any movie ever. And it's still one of the better Wolverine scenes in any of the films, when he goes to save the children from Stryker's assailants, and Wolverine just goes off, and it's badass. I mean, that was the first moment where, like, you realize that Hugh Jackman was like, I mean, you knew it in X-Men that he was Wolverine, but he really is awesome in this movie. And for the most part, as much as the movie focuses on Stryker and his son and the capturing of Professor X, this is really Wolverine's movie in a lot of ways.
I really like the Berserk scene too, in the mansion. I think just I think it's when he gets shot and he just starts stabbing people in the chest, and just double stabbing people. And then, like you said, he just goes crazy. And that's what you live to see Wolverine do, is just berserk, uses claws to slice guns in half, and just go in and just straight up gash people.
Yeah, and it was definitely, getting to see that as a comic fan was like, wow, this is really cool. I finally get to see the Wolverine that I wanted to see on screen, and it's badass. And then we get another great fight later on in the movie where he fights the girl with the long claws. I forget her mutant name. And this movie also took a lot of stuff from the comic books. Of course, the graphic novel from Chris Claremont, God Loves, Man Kills, which talked about humans dealing with what they felt was a mutant problem, and believing that, God told these humans that the mutants should be taken out. And it was kind of controversial. And this film doesn't touch on that fully, but there's definitely some elements taken from that, that Stryker feels that the mutants are a problem and a disgrace to the human race. And that's why Magneto, in some ways, towards the end of the film, kind of realizes that Stryker is a bad guy. And he kind of helps the X-Men. And so, we get our first glimpse of a Magneto that will help Xavier and his X-Men if it helps his own cause.
Yes, yeah, that's definitely one thing that united them. This, Stryker issue definitely caused the X-Men to team up, ultimately with Magneto trying to seize his own agenda towards the end, before Storm intervened and got Charles Xavier out of there. But yeah, I mean, the way the president is speaking, you definitely get the undertones of that whole mutants, shouldn't be there. Yeah, at the end of the movie, he's like, we have a mutant problem. And then that's whenever they pop in and just freeze everything and talk to the president.
Yeah, it's funny because I was reading, I didn't realize that for the freeze scenes, they use a lot of mime actors and people that were like theater actors that were experts at standing still. And I thought it was just a special effect they did, but they actually did use real actors for that, which I thought was kind of cool. I didn't know that about this film. But one thing I did like about this film is Brian Cox, man. He definitely plays a good Stryker. That guy is evil. He's always been a great character actor, and he doesn't back down against these mutants with these powers that could absolutely harm him until the end. Like when Wolverine gets a hold of Stryker and Stryker thinks that Wolverine's going to kill him, it's kind of like he finally realizes, like, man, what am I messing with? And I kind of like that scene too in the movie.
Yeah, whenever they have him locked up, and Ian McKellen, he just he just doesn't care that he's locked up. Like he just knows he'll eventually escape. That's kind of the feeling I get from him, and he does. And with the help of Rebecca Romijn.
Yeah, we've been having Jennifer Lawrence play Mystique so long. I go back and I watch this and I forgot. I'm like, oh yeah, she used to be Mystique.
She's my favorite Mystique, I have to say. I think I just really like her as Mystique.
Yeah, she did a good job, and she even never understood why they did not ask her back for even Days of Future Past. She was like, but I guess at that point Jennifer Lawrence had become such a big star that they figure, well, we have this big star here, we're not going to invite you back. But she did kind of voice her opinion about that at one time, I could still play the role.
I think I remember that. And then, of course, she started the show Skin Wars, where, people do makeup on people. And she still looks like she did in, Punisher 2004. I mean, and this is 16 years later. She still got it. So she could still play Mystique if she had to.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, everybody does a really good job in their roles. Even the young kids in this movie, like Sean Ashmore, who plays Iceman, and the kid who plays Pyro. I thought they all did a good job. And this is the first... I mean, obviously, it's only the second X-Men film, but this movie really felt like the X-Men came to life in a different way they did in the first one. We got a broader look at the world of the X-Men. We got to see a little bit older, Cyclops and Jean Grey and Storm. They had all been doing this for a few months now. They're a little more mature, a little bit more ready for battle. And I like how the world felt a little more lived in than it did at the point where the X-Men began. And I think this movie did a good job with that. And, I know Bryan Singer, who's going on to have some controversy in his career. I still think he did a good job directing this film. And despite the controversies he's had, he still made a really good X-Men film, and arguably one of the best comic book movies and one of the best X-Men films in the series.
Absolutely. I mean, you see the tension and the fear that people have of X-Men whenever, Bobby's brother calls the police and they show up and, they're like, put down the knives. She's like, I can't. Look. And then he gets shot in the head. And then one of my favorite scenes, probably maybe my third or fourth favorite scene in the film, Pyro, those mutants you see on TV? I'm the worst one. And he just starts blowing them all to hell because he thinks they killed his teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is a good scene too, and I like kind of some of the dark humor in the movie. Like, well, I can't put him down, but he doesn't. And I also felt, and in going back to the school scene, they kind of briefly introduced Cyclops. So I remember seeing this back in 2003 when it came out. I was like, oh man, I want to see more of him, but it's just a glorified cameo. And then of course we get Cyclops in the Deadpool films, which was a little different than the one that was in this film, being a young man who was going to be Cyclops, or not Cyclops, Colossus. Why am I saying Cyclops?
Colossus.
Yeah, you know what I meant. And I thought that was cool. And but overall, though, I think X-Men 2 does such a good job of bringing the world to life. This is, other than the Spider-Man films, this is the point where we started realizing that comic book films could be they could be huge hits at box office. They could be really well done. We were getting away from the cheesiness of the late 90s Batman films and getting serious comic book films again. And X-Men 2 deals with a lot of important social matters. Like you said, when Bobby comes out to his parents, he's a mutant, is very reminiscent of young people coming out today, being gay or lesbian to their parents. And Ian McKellen actually even helped write and direct that scene because he wanted it to be very similar to like what young people go through when they come out to their parents about social issues. And X-Men has always been relevant, even going back to the 1960s when Stan Lee wrote the X-Men. He wanted it to be about outcasts and about fitting in and about dealing with social issues. And I think the X-Men has always done a good job of doing that throughout their series. And that's what makes me look forward to when they bring the X-Men into the MCU eventually, is how Marvel Studios is going to tackle that. And hopefully they keep that part of the X-Men and how they deal with issues that are going on in the world around them.
Yes. It's like, like you said, Stan Lee, he wanted these, I took a graphic literature class, and it was about the evolution of comics, one of the coolest classes I've ever took. And our first day we learned about Action Comics #1. That was the that was the class, and we talked about the evolution of Marvel Comics, how you had these superheroes and they were just super, and then they evolved to this. You had these superheroes, but their powers weren't necessarily a trophy; they were a burden, and they were looked at differently by society. So you had, they had these powers, but they had this other life that you could relate to, and you could really attach yourself to some of these mutants because they echoed your own life in some way. And that's why people really love the X-Men, and people, a lot of people. I've got some friends that are gay that really love X-Men, and to your point, I think this scene in that movie, it's probably the closest thing that you can get to coming out to your parents, because Bobby's coming out as a mutant. He's not really gifted. Like, hey, that gifted school? That's really because I can freeze stuff. I'm going to get this really cool job at the NFL stadium. And I'm going to freeze beers for people.
But I think that's a good point. I think that's why I've always gravitated towards the X-Men, because I feel like they are very relatable in a lot of ways, and what you deal with in your daily life, where, like you said, someone is gay or straight, someone is overweight, someone is awkward, doesn't fit in. And there's something you can find in the X-Men. A lot of people sometimes feel like they're outcast to other people, their families or their schools and things like that. And the X-Men always reached to those people and made you feel fit in. And I've always been a longtime X-Men fan, even since I was younger reading comics. I was more of a late bloomer with Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man now. But when I was younger, I didn't really read a lot of Spider-Man. I always really loved the X-Men and Batman a lot. Batman just because he was badass, and X-Men just because I really liked the huge world that they involved and all the different stories they did and all the neat characters. And I always liked the X-Men a lot. And I like the fact that the X-Men, to me, always felt like it wasn't just a superhero story. They dealt with like real world issues, and there might have been supervillains that were causing things, but it brought social issues into play in the stories that were told in those comic books. And I think it made the X-Men maybe feel a little more real at times to me.
Absolutely. I mean, whenever you have, not everyone could really relate to Captain America when Captain America first came out. You really didn't have much of his backstory, but these mutants, they had problems. They had problems at home, much to a puberic teenager would have. Just not fitting in, not agreeing with his parents, not really seeing eye to eye, and maybe having this shadow that they just couldn't get out of, and their powers were that, whether they were cool or not. I mean, you're like, man, Rogue's got a cool power, but now she can never touch anybody, so
right.
That's a crutch, or a crutch. That's a hindrance for her. And everyone has their own.
Yeah, that's for sure. In the series of the X-Men films, I mean, where would you rank X-Men to? I mean, to me, I think Logan is #1, and I always kind of flip-flop X-Men 2 and Days of Future Past. Like, I'll watch X-Men 2 and I'm like, okay, I think this is better. I put it at #2. But then I'll watch Days of Future Past and I think it's better, and I put it behind Logan. And then I feel like, and then I always put First Class at #4. People don't give First Class enough love to me. I think First Class is really good. And I always have it right behind Days of Future Past and X-Men 2.
I think that's fair. I would have to say it's Logan. And then, boom, I'd go into Days of Future Past and then X2. But that's kind of like 2A, 2B for me. And then, boom, Days of Future Past. First Class right after that.
Well, my biggest problem with Days of Future Past is, like X-Men 2 has the big climax where Jean Grey, gets swept into the ocean, and, we know she's going to come back as a Phoenix and all that. My biggest problem with Days of Future Past is it builds up and it builds up and it builds up. It's really, really fucking good. And then you get to the end, and Magneto's lifting the stadium, and it's really badass and everything. And then he just sort of like gives up because he doesn't want to kill everybody. And there's no climactic battle. You know what I mean? You have all these Sentinels rise into the sky, and then we don't even get them. X-Men don't even fight the Sentinels. They just sort of shut down. And that's my biggest problem with Days of Future Past is like there's all this build up, and I'm like, that's it. That's all that happens at the end. And that's the only thing that I didn't like about that movie.
I would give Days of Future Past second place just because of Wolverine waking up shirtless and flexing his chest, and then the mafia dudes come in the room and they're like, "We're paying you to protect the boss's daughter, not sleep with her." And he's like, "No,
Right.
no, well that wasn't me." He's like, "What? Or how wasn't it?" And I'm like, "Oh well, of course I've slept with her tons of times, but I just got here." That whole scene's like just freaking hilarious. It's like, how?
Let's
What are
just
you
be
gonna
honest.
do?
You were excited because you saw Hugh Jackman's butt, dude.
That is a huge Jackman moment, man. That's a huge Jackman moment. The
Whatever
buttocks
helps you.
of huge Jackman.
Whatever helps you sleep at night. So how would you rate? So how would you rate X-Men 2? I think it's a solid A, easily.
I think it's an A. It's definitely an A. Part of me feels that this feels like it ends with Magneto trying to jack with the human race, just like the first one. And I wish they would have been a little bit more of a political discussion, like a mutants' rights kind of thing, kind of like Days of Future Past was. I think Days of Future Past really capitalized and made a story around mutant rights, like this one was trying to do. And it felt like it kind of relied on Magneto being the bad guy again. That's probably the only beef that I could have with this movie is I wish it would have had a more creative ending. But I think the film gives you a lot. It does give you a lot, and this is the sequel we needed to end on.
And going back to the ending, like I felt the ending. I think the ending doesn't feel as creative only because The Last Stand didn't work. And I think if The Last Stand had worked like it was supposed to, and Bryan Singer would have came back to direct, and we would have gotten the real Phoenix story that we deserved, I think it would have made the ending not feel the way you felt, if that makes sense,
That's fair.
Because The Last Stand was such a letdown that it kind of takes away from Jean Grey's sacrifice at the end of this, and Magneto turning back to his ways, and those elements are there in The Last Stand, but it just didn't come together enough to make the ending of X-Men 2 worthy.
Man, and at the end, now that you mentioned the end, Cyclops was getting so close to Charles. I was waiting for Charles to be like, kiss me, Cyclops. It's me, Jean. And then he just like, yes, Sir Patrick Stewart, I will kiss you. Or something like that. And I was like, Cyclops is getting awfully close. That's got to make Sir Patrick Stewart a little uncomfortable.
All right. On that note, let's get into some news for the week instead of Cyclops kissing Professor X. So we'll start out with some AMC theaters, man. They might not survive this COVID-19 pandemic, which is kind of a weird thing. They were already. I didn't realize that before this happened, they were already kind of struggling, having to borrow some money. I guess AMC was a victim of opening up too many large theaters and them not all being successful. But they may be filing for bankruptcy very soon. And it's just weird, man, because, AMC is where, I saw Attack of the Clones at a midnight screening. I think Revenge of the Sith also. Several other movies over the years. The AMC's where I saw Batman 1989 back in the day. So a lot of memories. I remember seeing Independence Day at AMC theater and seeing the trailer for the Star Wars special editions. AMC is just something that's been a staple in the movie industry for so many years, and it could be a weird post COVID-19 world to not have AMC theaters around anymore.
That's just crazy. And it's like I was like you. I thought this company had a lot of money and a lot of resources to kind of weather the storm, so to say. But it's very sad and disheartening to hear that they may be impacted this bad.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen my most memorable movies at AMC, but I've definitely seen enough to have some good memories of AMC theaters.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't been in a while. Actually, when I heard they might close, I was trying to think the last time I went to the AMC Willowbrook over near us, and I think it was I maybe took Mikey to see Captain Underpants. Might be the last thing I saw there. No, wait. Did we see Solo there?
We did see Solo there.
So that was probably the last thing I saw there. That's right. So we did see Solo there. That's probably the last thing I saw at the AMC theaters then. So we'll see if they make it if something comes along and saves them possibly. So we'll see. News continues to be a bit slow as Hollywood is kind of shut down, but there are some things. Marvel Unlimited right now is offering free access to some of their most classic stories. So if you're bored and want to read some comics digitally, you can get some free comics on Marvel Unlimited right now. So that's a good deal. We did talk last week about the game delays, and Marvel's delays and all that. Oh, Mark Hamill did release a letter to the fans this week in the midst of all this, thanking them for the success of Star Wars and all his success over the years. And it seems like Mark has done this a few times since he kind of spoke out against The Last Jedi, and I think he felt somewhat responsible for the fan backlash on The Last Jedi when he gave his thoughts last year. So it feels like this is the second or third time that he's thanked Star Wars fans since then. And maybe a little bit of a guilty conscience from Mark Hamill.
Yeah, I think he definitely did have an emotional response to The Last Jedi. And I think it just kind of, echoed what a lot of fans thought. And, maybe if, Luke had gone out and said, hey, how do you think Obi-Wan became a hermit that was hiding from the Empire? It's like, I think if he would have taken that route and showed that, hey, this is the cycle of the Jedi. You're this cunning warrior. You're great. You're lovable. And then, you go into solitude and, keep to yourself until another Jedi finds you. And then you're responsible for training that new Jedi like Obi-Wan was. And so it's kind of just a cycle, that's how I viewed it. And I didn't necessarily agree with, Luke's, arc, but it, I think it had to happen and it couldn't have happened any other way, possibly.
Yeah. Well, that's true. With the delays in movie theaters, we're going to get a lot of movies are shifting release dates and everything. And Disney obviously owns a lot of properties, a lot of stuff coming out. So they announced that Artemis Fowl is going to be coming to Disney Plus. And I wasn't surprised by this one because I remember this movie being advertised last summer and they already delayed it once or twice and it was supposed to come out this summer. So I guess Disney felt at this point, look, we're never going to get Artemis Fowl in theaters. And of course, it's based on the famous novels. So it's expected to be on Disney Plus later this year. And then there's a lot of rumors about what they're going to do with the long delayed New Mutants. But apparently the problem with New Mutants is they can't release it directly to streaming because HBO Warner Brothers still have some television rights to Fox properties. I thought that was interesting. So they just can't put New Mutants on Disney Plus or Hulu because they technically don't own any kind of television rights to some 20th Century Fox properties still because the contracts aren't up yet. So the poor New Mutants movie feels like it's never, ever going to get released.
It'll be one of those lost movies that we'll find on bootleg.
It's strange because at this point, I kind of want to see it just because we've been hearing about it so long.
Yeah, and the trailer didn't look bad.
No, I mean, I'll watch it. It's X-Men, or it's in the X-Men world anyway, so I'll watch it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And other than that, the only other thing in the news is Taiki Waititi, however you say his name, is not going to be directing any episodes of Mandalorian Season 2, even though he did direct some of Season 1, just because he's too busy getting Thor, Love and Thunder ready to go, and I guess he's still going to produce and work on the live-action Akira movie. So, yeah, that's about it. Like I said, just kind of more slow news, continued delays with Hollywood films and things like that. But in the bad news, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Comic Palooza. They released a promo where they're going to do something similar to what the rodeo did for their, venues and people that bought venues and and tables and booths to sell their stuff. You can now go on to Comicpalooza and you can go to their art gallery, and they have all the vendors there, from prints to T-shirts, and you can go and buy the artists or the vendors' items that you would normally go to, or you can browse their site and support these people that really depend on Comicpalooza, or at least we're looking forward to it as a source of income. I went ahead and I went to the undergroundforest.com and I bought some stuff from Mark Nasso. I got a cool Land of the Rats pub glass, and he threw in some stickers. Even though I didn't ask for it, he threw in some extra stuff, bookmark. So my kids, reading books, I'm going to have them use a Land of the Rats bookmark. So, get in there and support your local artists. And, if you have the means to do so, spread some love and buy something and help those guys out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because right now with all this going on, some of those guys, they do it for a living. They sell crafts and goods throughout the year. There's a lot of people making homemade masks right now for face mask. A friend of mine I met through Compalooza, Cynthia Vale, she's selling face masks on her website and things like that. So yeah, definitely support the small businesses where you can and keep those guys going, so that when we do come out of this, we're able to have all these people at the comic conventions and things we love again, so that they can keep making money and we can keep buying cool shit, and it's just the way to do it. So before we get out of here, let's preview next week's film as the Sequels That Made Us month continues. And next week should be a very exciting film. And I swear I did not pick this on purpose when I knew that the world was going in somewhat apocalyptic directions. But we are going to talk a very apocalyptic film. And that is a huge favorite of mine. And then that is The Road Warrior.
This is what it has come to.
Coming back! Come on, move it!
Here is where it shall be decided.
There it is. Greetings from the Humongous.
In a world without gas.
The Humongous rules the wasteland.
I'm gravely disappointed that you wish to take the gasoline out of the wasteland.
Defend the fuel.
We'll never walk away!
Give me the pump, the gasoline, the whole compound.
This is a land that prays for a hero.
Well, if anyone's gonna get in there, it's gonna be you.
This is Mad Max 2.
Since I seen driving like that, man.
The warrior of the road.
You're okay by me, pal.
Gotta hand it to you, Treasure. The last of the V8 interceptors.
Every day we get weaker while they get stronger.
You want to get out of here? You talk to me. Now, to do the job, I need some high-octane gasoline. Got yourself a deal.
You can run, but you can't hide!
You gonna crash or crash through?
I was wrong about you. I'm sorry.
When it's every man for himself. And there's no place left to run. When all that's left is one last chance. Pray that he's still out there. Somewhere. Mad Max 2.
Yes.
And man, this is an awesome film. It's one of those first growing up. It's one of the first apocalyptic films I remember watching. Absolutely love The Road Warrior. it's a really great movie. And again, it has nothing to do with the times we're in now, because people might think that COVID-19 is the apocalypse, but I don't truly believe that. I do think we will come out of this. And even though we thought we would all be dressing like Mad Max characters during times like this, but
yeah.
But the Road Warrior, we covered Mad Max about a year ago, the original film. We've actually already done Fury Road. For some reason, we just did it a while back. So this will be the third Mad Max film we're going to cover, and should be fun talking the Road Warrior, huh?
Absolutely. I mean, you got the Pharaoh kid, you got the chick with the football armor, and then you've got the crazy dude on the bike, that screams a lot. And then you've got the Humongous, Lord Humongous.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Road Warrior is a batshit crazy fun film to watch, and should be a good one to talk about next week on the show. I'm looking forward to it. And thank anyone for listening to this episode and bear with us as we work out the kinks of remote recording, so to speak, as we try to do our part to social distance, and as we all get through this together, man. There's no black, white, brown, gay, straight, and all this. It's a country, it's a world that needs to survive this and get through it and take care of each other as we move forward and hopefully get back to normal sooner than later, of course.
Yes, sooner than later, for sure.
And again, man, go to the rebelradiopodcast.com, join our Patreon if you want. Just $2 a month, you get exclusive episode and more stuff coming soon to the page. We appreciate that. And if you don't want to join the Patreon on the rebelradiopodcast.com page, there's a donate button there too. You can just donate a couple bucks to us if you want, and say, here, man, it's for the show. We're a small business too, so if you want to support us, you can support us. And we do appreciate it. And we thank you as always for listening. And again, just stay safe out there. Take care of each other. And we'll keep entertaining you the best we can. And that's all I got, for this week. And we hope everyone has a great week. And we hope they had a good Easter weekend, because you'll get this episode after Easter. And this has been Mark.
This has been Matt.
And as always, remember, just go there and do it.
Just go there and do it.
This is Ming Chen from AMC's Comic Book Man. I love Houston. I love podcasting. But what I really love is the Rebel Radio Podcast.